All right, now that we have our truss assembled, so we've got our side panel, we've got our top, and then we added in our bottom pieces here. I chose just to go straight across, but you can add more pieces here. Just make sure that there's a hole here at 9 inches, right? So when I put the bolt through at 9 inches, there should be a space there. If there's not a space there, we have to break it. And we don't want to do that because it's going to weaken your truss. So we get our supporting plate, and we're going to take our truss and we're going to line it up the best we can. So we're trying to evenly space it around or inside of this piece. Now, this side right now is the top. This is the bottom, okay? Notice which direction the grain's going. All right, we found that over the years of testing it, that the grain needs to go up and down, so vertical. If we test it horizontally, the block of wood actually snaps before we want it to. So now that I have this in place, I take a pencil or a marker, and I'm just going to trace around the ends. This is going to give us a reference to where these pieces are so I can drill some holes. Okay. Also, while I'm here, I'm going to draw on the edges or the ends of the supporting plate. I'm going to follow this angle down here, and I'm going to draw a line at that same angle. And the reason why I'm doing that is that's going to help me to line up when I'm drilling to drill at the correct angle. Okay, so I've got an angle there. I'm following down here. I'm going at this same angle. And on this last side here, I'm following down. I'm going at that angle. So I have two lines on both of the ends and the edges of my board. Now what we have here, we've got our squares to mark off where our pieces are. And we have our lines that reference what angle we need to go for. Okay, might be a good idea to mark a T so we know which one's the top. All right, so our pieces of wood are 1/8 by 1/8, but what we need to do is drill a hole that's a little bit bigger than 1/8 of an inch. So grabbing a drill bit from my drill bit index, I want to get something that's a little bit larger than 1/8 by 1/8. So I tend to stick around this 5/32 or 11/64 to start off with. What we're going to do here is place this in the bench clamp. Take our drill. I'm going to hold my drill horizontally to follow the line that's on the side and also to follow the line that's on the top. Now, depending on what angle you're at, if you're at too extreme of an angle, it might slide off on you. So sometimes you have to kind of start it off a little bit. Now that I bit in a little bit, I can angle it, get the right angle here, and drill through. Okay? Now, the idea is that this piece of wood should fit through in that hole. We actually want it to go all the way to the back of that block of wood. All right? And we need that to happen to all four. So I'm going to go ahead and do that to all four. My top two, and here are my bottom two. And you can see I'm keeping it at that angle. So I match up with this angle, I match up with the angle on the side, and I go ahead and drill. Now what we're going to find out is sometimes these actually aren't going to fit quite like we're hoping because of the angles. So when I'm drilling, I don't necessarily need to get a larger drill bit, but I can change the hole. I can actually make it a slot by kind of going in and out and rocking the drill bit up and down. So now what that did was that elongated the hole in order to make more room for our truss. Okay, so we opened up those two. I'm taking my time here. We're going to see if this fits. If it doesn't fit, don't force it because you'll break your truss. What you need to do is mark off what's not working and then go back and adjust it. All right, so mine actually fits really well, except for the fact that this is actually a doubled up piece here, okay? So I elongated the bottom holes, but now I'm gonna do the same thing to the top. Pull that out, we got our top. Stick the bottom in first, tends to work out better because it's more of an angle. I've got the top here, and I can see that it almost fits. I've got a little bit of an issue back here where it's not quite low enough, so I'll have to keep going with that. But how do I know I'm done? Well, I'm easily able to push the truss all the way to the back. And you can see here it's actually sticking out the back on the bottom, but when I glue it in, it'll be nice and flush, okay? The top, I'm not so bad on this one, but on this one I need to go a little bit more, okay? So I'll take the time and I'll make sure that that's drilled through. I want the holes to be as snug as possible, but big enough that it fits through without having to really force it through, because they'll probably end up breaking. Once you get to that point, everything fits. What I can do is you want to be on top of a piece of wax paper. In fact, it's probably best if you end up using a piece of masking tape. This glue tends to seep through. So what I like to do is on the back side, I can tape the hole off, do that to all four. I can go ahead, using my glue, I can fill up that hole, and then all four holes are filled up with glue. I can slide in my truss. What's going to happen is it's going to squeeze some of that glue out, and then it might seep down, and as it dries, it'll end up, you'll see like a little bit of a dip here. So then what you can do after 15, 20 minutes, a half an hour, add a little bit more glue onto the top here. You want to make sure that this hole is full of glue, all right? And if you do it early enough, once this dries overnight, the next day we'll come in, we'll take the tape off, we'll see if there's any voids on the back side here. If there are any voids on the back side, we can end up filling it up from flipping it over like this, okay? So the goal is to make sure this piece of wood sits flush to the back and it's full of glue in this space here so that it has the most amount of power to hold the wood, okay? The next step, next videos, we'll talk about how to add our gusset plates.